say hello. Okay, hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Games Today with your host, the RPGgoddess. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. As you can see, I'm screen recording a Reddit post on Google for something I found out about, and I'll give first credit for finding this out to the YouTube channel Ghibli's GD. However, the full credit for actually finding this, like here, I forget the guy's name, but it will come to me as we look. Anyway, this Reddit user, gotta do this, click to see the score, I guess, for those people that don't want to see it. Yeah, we've got to press that to read it, and we will be able to see, hurry up computer, some very interesting info. So basically what this is going to be about is, you know, when you have the very end of chapter 2, and I mean the very end, it's the very last thing we see before it cuts to the credits. It basically has a little grinning smile with just teeth displayed on the TV screen. Many have speculated, here we go, finally loading, as to the identity of that smile. Many people, including myself, assumed it was probably Mike, the main or hidden boss that will be coming up in our assumed TV world for chapter 3. However, we have some not concrete but pretty damn good proof, in my opinion, of who it might be. So let's read through this together, because there's a bit to cover. Okay. Huge discovery, identity of the Smile, chapter 2's ending. Yeah, it's Gaster, so let's go, Gaster boys. Just a note, I'm not saying I'm the first to figure this out, nor do I care about credit, because as obsessed as I am about this game, I don't have all the time in the world to follow the community every second of every day. So for all I know, someone else could have brought this up first, and I just straight up missed it. It's going to go down a sec, see if we can find his name. I can give him credit right away. Comrade, that's right. So yes, all credit to Comrade, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this. It was just such an interesting thing, I really wanted to share it, and try and share it before others did. Okay, so let's continue reading. We'll go back up here. So let's unblock that. Okay, alright, so, because I'm tired of people saying that Gast has no real importance, since he's absolutely everywhere in Deltarune. The trademark for the game is owned by Royal Sciences LLC, for crying out loud, and he's a mystery storyline I really want to see resolved. I got really impatient waiting around for chapter 3 plus to come out, so I decided to start playing around various songs from the game's files in FL Studio. I'm not an audio engineer or anything, but when I realised what I found out by bumbling around some various settings, it made me jump out of my chair, because I've not seen anyone cover this on YouTube, which was shocking, because you can all be wizards with audio, as evident by the bunker discovery. Alright, so here's how it went down. You know that weird static sound at the end of chapter 2 when the smile appears on the TV? I thought to myself, there has to be a secret hidden in that. We haven't seen a main overarching villain yet, emphasis on scene, and Toby Fox has confirmed that each chapter will have a main boss, so it'd be a little underwhelming. This smile simply belongs to a character we'll pummel and move on from, like King and Queen. We can't have Scooby-esque adventures in the dark world forever. There has to be some important plot threads moving here. So I thought, TV noise to OGG file into FL Studio, and did the following to it. I normalised the audio, I stretched the time to its max, I turned SMP start until it was almost halfway, about 150-ish degrees from its default position. Here's the most important part: in time stretching, I set mode to E mono. As soon as I completed the last step, I had unknowingly confirmed who the smiling man on the television was. Mike? Nope. Sam's? Well, there might be a relation there. Nope, it was none other than W.D. Gaster himself. How do I know this? Because TV noise, as obvious in retrospect as it will probably be, is entry freaking 17. Pretty much thumbs it up right there, but we're going to keep going. Because TV noise to ogazoggies. Oops. Sorry. Rereading. No, seriously, it's the exact same sound and noise. If you slow it down enough, it sounds just like the noise of the bunker as well, all weird and stuttery. It's much I'd love for everyone to hear this. I don't have any kind of video or software, nor do I want to go through the hassle of figuring out how to make this discovery a download. I hope anyone here plays around in FL Studio, you try this for yourself and help make it known to the theory crafting community. As a die-hard Gaster fan who followed all the world of Undertale and its characters, God, sorry, I'm losing my place. Let's start over. As a die-hard Gaster fan who followed all the digging after Undertale came out, I'm smiling from ear to ear. Toby said since the beginning on his Kickstarter that his project would expand the world of Undertale and its characters, and that it would be darker yet darker. I'm glad to find yet another connection to this enigmatic figure. And I hope this means we have many, many groundbreaking revelations ahead of us. I think we may yet see these expansions of Undertale's world that we were promised a long time ago, and we may finally have our answers for Gaster, Sans and perhaps Origins, as well as hopefully some more alongside that. Toby is definitely lowering expectations for some crazy stuff ahead. I think completely cutting off Deltarune from Undertale would be a huge waste of potential. On an unrelated note, I have some speculation, and I believe will heavily aid query crafting. I've been trying to think the best way to get it out there, and now seems like a good opportunity. Darkness turn into statues when they're out of their element. Specifically statues. Now remember, there's a mysterious horned statue in Undertale that doesn't quite have an explanation. I know what he means. I think that was meant to be like a memorial to the Prince Azrael who had passed away, because it does play a song when you put the umbrella on it, but could be, you never know, because if this is a prequel then it could well be. The unused dialogue in Deltarune's files is definitely coming from Des. We have no idea what's happened to her. She's not dead, and I bet she's the main bridge to Gaster, i.e. that she suffered the same fate as Gaster and that they're in the same place. Why do I think this? Well, they say that they hear scratching, implying there may be someone else in the dark with them. Chris and Susie are both anagrams of risk and issue. Oh, you already knew this one? Well, I bet you didn't consider the fact that many of these names may be given to subjects who are part of experiments. You want another interesting connection? At the beginning of most text boxes in both Undertale and Deltarune is an asterisk. Huh? Asterisk? Coincidence? I think not. This could mean nothing, but I've still found it interesting. You know about the darkness pillars in Undertale's core, right? Well, there's a lot of strange lights dotted around the core, bunched together in groups. You know what colour these lights are? Well, they're blue, pink and yellow. Coincidentally, these are the colours that represent Chris, Susie and Noelle when they're in the dark world. It's implied that the roaring will happen again. Deltarune has been pretty linear lately, so I'm betting we have yet to see the true scope of the game. I think the entirety of the hometown will be a mega dark world at some point, and the game will have multiple paths and multiple dark fountains that need to be sealed. I'm betting this is why Toby said it was so important that the design of hometown was finalised first. I don't think we'll be following a consistent pattern of chapter boss secrets, boss yada yada. Every chapter, as that may become a little too stale, but hey, that's just me. If anything, I think Snowgrove foreshadowed just how far we can go off the rails. Alright gang, that's all I have for now. I hope you're as hyped as I am. The next few bundles of chapters can't come fast enough. Edit, thank you so much for the positive reaction. I feel like many newcomers don't understand how big of a deal certain things are, so seeing people here as big nerds as I am is really awesome. If anyone's interested, I have a larger theory down in the comments about what I think may actually be the plot of Deltarune, and the reality of things is very harsh. This game is a prequel. The core is running hometown in a simulation. Nothing you do matters, because you're in a world that doesn't matter. Everything is fake. Susie, Noelle, etc., especially the darkness you create. I think it's a very possible theory that plays into just how dark this game is going to get, considering our current world building, which is currently less than Undertale. summary. Now we'll go down a bit further and we'll find that other comment. I think we just passed one by Comrade. Muppet's laugh isn't actually Muppet's laugh, it's a generic laugh used by multiple enemies in the core. I know nothing about descrambling audio, but it sounds very close. One thing I forgot to mention is it does miss the whir noises, but I can mess with it enough to get it sound just like Entry 17 does. I think Toby may have messed with it a little bit to make it sound more static so it wasn't dead obvious. Considering Entry 17 was called music underscore smiling, Undertale's file and Chapter 2 ends with an effect that sounds an awful lot like stored in Entry 17 and has a TV and a smile. I'm pretty sure that was intentional. Yes, I would say so. I mean, using any music, especially that particular music, I mean, of course, we're going to notice if we find it out. And we all know Toby loves sneaking little Easter eggs for us to find, especially hidden ones that you've really got to dig through to find. Damn on, some sleuth shit, but seriously, you might actually have 100% that this smile was indeed Gaster. I was starved for plot development and world building, which is why I even bothered messing around with the music in the first place. I usually just watch videos on this kind of stuff and make assumptions based on the work of others. I hope I'm right though, and things start to get really bonkers in chapters 3 onwards, because I'm not big on teenage problem kinds of stories. Deltarune was supposed to be darker yet darker, not sillier yet sillier. I like the setting and story of Undertale. It did a lot to build its world and make it feel like there was a whole other world underground. Deltarune seems to be more about world removing for no good reason yet, so I'm doing everything I can to reassure myself that Toby knows what he's doing. I'm sure he does, even if it's not clear yet. Alright, interesting. This sounds groundbreaking. Excuse me. I've not been updated with the theories lately and I'm fairly clueless about Undertale, so pardon me, is this a possibility already known, but does this mean the Dark World's Gaster's creation, the one he fell into? I'm not quite sure yet what his creation truly specifies. Could be the broken machine in Sam's basement, but we know for sure from the Gaster followers that the core is his creation. But with all this foreshadowing, it seems certain that Gaster will be playing a major role, and we may find out. I feel confident that I have an educated guess and maybe what truly may be going on, if you'd like to hear more. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, I think, because I read through this before doing it. It was honestly just too damn interesting for me to ignore. Dang it, we must have gone past it. We probably had to click more. Here's another one that I think we missed. I agree that the TB smile won't be the actual boss. The TB itself, maybe, but the smile may be something else entirely. It appears to be way too Lord-filled, important way setting for it to be just another random boss. I feel like the whole Mike is a TV guy thing came from too many people just straight up ignoring Gaster and implications and scene tones. King and King and Queen as chapter bosses had their build-ups only in Dark Worlds. I feel anything that takes place in Hometown has greater meaning, and this smile foreshadows dark turns ahead. Like, I get that people love the humour in this game, but it's been promised at the beginning to be way darker in tone than Undertale. Indeed, and bring it on. Now, if I could just find the rest of that dang comment. Well, here's another one we might have missed. Okay, continue this thread. wait. You have to forgive my computer, guys, it's very slow. I literally have an appointment next Tuesday though, which I'm quite excited about, to get an interest-free loan with a charity sort of organisation called Uniting Care Country for South Australia, where I live. I'm looking at a $750 or about $12,000 laptop to replace my about 5-year-old one. So I cannot wait. That'll make videos and editing videos so much easier. Okay, let's read the rest. I'd like to hear it. Isn't what we already pressed on? Continue this thread. I think if we go down any more, it's covering other stuff. Why are you making it so hard for me? Pressing it, continue. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Okay, hit me. Man, you have no idea what you just unleashed. Okay, so first of all, timeline placement. Deltarune is a prequel to Undertale. Huh? What percent is there? Yeah, there's time travel shenanigans involved. He mentioned Undertale. Like he mentioned in Undertale, she's going to get crazy. People often overlook that Entry 17 was written back when Gaster was a royal scientist, i.e. a long time ago. This next experiment will be very, very interesting. Gaster falls into his creation and seemingly disappears. Whoops, I guess whatever that experiment was didn't go too well. So what was it? Well, Gaster's grand and mysterious experiment involved experimenting with the soul of the first human, Chara. We're witnessing that experiment as it plays out in full, and Gaster is observing us from, well, I'll get to that in a second, but pretty cool, huh? That's why Deltarune only has one ending, because Undertale needs to happen. You're led to believe this is another separate universe from Undertale, but the reality is much darker. Gaster is watching us from the outside, from the world of Undertale. Deltarune is a simulation, all of it. Every character you meet in the Dark World, every character in Hometown, including Susie, absolutely everything is a simulation being run in the core Gaster's creation. That is why nothing you do matters, because you're in a world that doesn't matter. Whoa, did I just blow your mind? We've always known there was more to the core than just meets the eye. Gaster didn't build that big hunk of junk just to power the underground. The core can be rearranged and has strange things in the game's files called darkness totems, both of which, however, Gaster initially created to make the field of the simulation Hometown. However, what he didn't bet on was that Chris Kara finding a way to even deeper darkness, the Dark World. This fulfills the darker yet darker line, and why this experiment is so interesting to Gaster, he didn't even mean for it to happen. Hometown reflects the world of Undertale as it is during the current year. That is why Toriel and Asgore are separated, why Udine still has both her eyes, why Udine and Alphys aren't together, and why absolutely no one has achieved what they will in Undertale. Thanks to Spampton, we may have the year that Deltarune takes place, 1997. So do you happen to remember what year that Undertale took place? I need to brush up on my actual Undertale lore. I've been too obsessed with Gaster for too long. But I'm pretty sure we're witnessing the actual discovery of determination within Deltarune. Not the determination experiments that Alphys directed poorly, but the actual discovery of it. It's consistently emphasised that Hometown doesn't have any magic. Again, this is because it's a simulation. It makes sense. You wouldn't want a human you're doing experiments on to fuse with a certain someone who's conveniently away at college. Although he said in Undertale that they knew Chara wasn't a good person, that they hated humanity. So how does Chris react when they see here mentioned of any humans in Deltarune? Yeah, that's right. Why is Kara nowhere near as powerful as they were in Undertale? Oh yeah, prequel. That kid from the apartment in Hometown brought up a good point. Where do skeletons come from? Oh yeah, humans. I think it's likely that there's two versions of Gaster in this game. We have 1997 Gaster and a future version of Gaster who was split across time and space. This explains why we have the man with the egg rooms. While Gaster will likely be the main antagonist, we will also have a future version of him, a man who's made mistakes and is paying for it. There's a lot more to this theory, but I'm starting to get tired of writing for now. I'll write a lot more later, but if you're interested in invested in this, feel free to ask questions. So wait, nothing matters at all? These new characters I love are just going to fade away at the end of the game? Birdley? Susie? Birdley? Yes, especially the Darkness, because they're literally just animated versions of objects within a simulation. I'm not saying that Susie, Noelle and Birdley don't exist within the Undertale universe though, because they do, you just don't meet them in Undertale. I have no evidence for this next part, but it seems like too good of an idea not to. Deltarune could have a super duper secret ending, because I definitely believe how you ended Undertale will play into it. The sands we've seen in Deltarune is definitely the same one from Undertale, which is why we haven't got to see Papyrus yet. Sands may be there either on a rescue mission or a mission of revenge, based on your choices in Undertale and your choices in Deltarune. I'm proposing a theory that there may be a super secret ending where you get to see the same characters from Undertale again, and I'm betting the game will end on an optimistic note, likely letting you meet the Undertale versions of Susie, Noelle, Birdley, etc. There's some stuff missing for now. I'll resume later. Gerson gone as amalgamates, and a bunch of other stuff will be elaborated on. So, Toby put so many moving parts in these games, and I love it. Very cool. I'm sorry guys, I was really unwell yesterday, my throat's still a bit scratchy. I don't know if there's any more comments from that original poster, but we'll leave that at that. And yeah, I think it's just very, very, very interesting. Incredibly very interesting. So Comrade, my hat down to you. You've got some very interesting ideas, things that I never thought about. And yeah, it would be interesting to see whether or not the knight really is Gaster. But I gotta say, I certainly suspect Gaster. I suspected Chris for a while, like I think everyone did. But I mainly suspected Gaster because the pieces just fit so absolutely perfectly there. So it will be interesting to see if this roaring knight turns out to be Gaster. But yeah, I really like the idea that there might be a secret ending that ties in with Undertale, because Undertale has been made and you can't really go back and change the ending. Well, I suppose you could with a patch, I don't really know, but you know, the thought that perhaps somehow, you know, I don't know how they do it, but if somehow the game could tell how you done things in Undertale and that affected the ending, so, you know, in a genocide route, maybe Sans came there specifically to get you for what you did in Undertale, or perhaps you simply find out the backstory of Hometown was where he actually came from, and due to the events of Deltarune, the prequel to Undertale, he ended up there, and yeah, we're witnessing, you know, his story unfold as well. So very, very interesting. But I really love the fact that we're going in new directions with the game, because as much as I love Chapter 1, having only that one ending was so disappointing. I remember thinking at first, like, well, what if I attack or I don't attack? Is it going to make any difference? Pretty soon I realised it's not making any difference, just like everyone else. And so we had this idea that our choices didn't matter, but now, just like in Undertale, our choices do matter. Whether or not it'll still lead to one singular ending, I think it will. I think the ending will be the same, regardless, but I think there will still be different paths. But I don't know, maybe there will be multiple endings. It would be cool, but I don't think we're going to get that again in Undertale. I think he's going for something a little bit different in that, whereas Undertale is all about how your choices affect everything in the consequence and the weight of those choices, and that leading to so many different possible choices and so many possible different end games and endings, that with Deltarune there are still many different paths that you can take. Like we can now take a genocide, or a sort of mid-border genocide, or a pacifist run. But yeah, we're not going to, you know, regardless of which one we choose, we're still going to probably stay on that main path and achieve that one ending, because the ending for this has to, I think, be the same to make the story of this and then Undertale consistent, if that makes sense. But it's all just speculation. But like everybody else out in the world, I'm absolutely pumped for Chapter 3. I cannot wait for it. I swear, if I could jump in a time machine and just fast forward and just lose all those days and all that time just to immediately get to the second when it came out so I could play it without waiting, I would do it in a heartbeat, just like I'm sure the rest of you all would. So, yeah, I still haven't done my part 2 Deltarune theory video for the Real Soul to Enter the Real World, but I'm working on it. I have actually already recorded it. It just needs to be sort of brushed up and edited and decide whether I'm happy with it or I'm going to redo it. But we're getting to that. We are getting to it, guys. And I do want to cover theories about Spampton, Jevil, you know, the possible things for Chapter 3 and onwards. Gaster, lots of different things, so be patient, they are coming. And they will certainly be worth the wait. Just in time for Giga Queen to show up. But we're not fighting you today, I'm afraid, my love. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's shed a bit of light on some things and gave you some interesting things to think about in this wonderful world of Deltarune and Undertale. But yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, it would really mean a lot to me if you could subscribe to the channel if you're not already, recommend it to your friends, like on it, you know, if you dislike it, leave a comment, and yeah, just let me know what you all think, and I would appreciate that. My next regular video I'm going to be doing either after this today or in the next couple of days, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to be playing some more of Deltarune Chapter 1. But yeah, thanks so much for joining me, everybody. This has been your host, Games Today. And yeah, I'm your host, the RPGgoddess. So be happy, my friends. Have a good one. And stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next video. So, this is Games Goddess. The RPGgoddess. Goddess of Games, I wish. And I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye.